Good morning. Welcome to News Center Maine's Political Brew. Glad you could be with us. We're joined this morning by Ray Richardson of WLOB Radio and attorney Ken Altshuler, longtime co-host of the WGAN Morning News, or as we are calling them today, Ray and the Redheaded Guy. Good to see you both. Let's get started. The first televised governor's debate happened on Tuesday on Maine Public. We're going to tackle a few specific topics, but Ray, first, give us your overview of how it went for Janet Mills and Paul LePage.
Yeah, from a substance standpoint, I think it was pretty much what everybody thought. These guys have two very well-established records. One I agree with, one I don't. I'll let you figure out which one I don't agree with. I think overall, and I love Jennifer Rooks and I respect Steve Mistler, I think the abortion question was just a setup for Janet Mills. I'm so disappointed when Paul LePage gave them a yes answer and then said in 8 years he had never tried to change the abortion law. Something, by the way, I don't agree with him on, and I begged him to change, but he would not do it. They wouldn't take yes for an answer, and I thought that was kind of a setup. Other than that, it was okay.
We'll dig into that a little more in a moment, but Ken, your take overall.
Well, I didn't see Paul LePage 2.0. I saw Paul LePage 1.0. I thought that, he said he wasn't going to prepare for the debate. Whether he did or not, he looked like he was winging it. I didn't think he came off very well. I thought Janet came off like Janet Mills. I thought that she was what I expected to be. I agree with Ray. I don't think anybody surprised us. I think we got exactly what we expected. That's either good or bad. I don't know. But I thought all in all, it was interesting. I thought Janet presented herself well, and I think Paul was Paul.
And for those who didn't see it, when the topic of abortion came up, LePage and Mills were in some agreement that Maine's current law should not be changed. When pressed, LePage said he would veto a bill that would not allow most abortions after a woman is 15 weeks along. Supporters of both the current and former governor, Ken, may have been a little dismayed by what they heard. Some progressives want Janet Mills to lessen the restrictions, and some conservatives want LePage to get tougher on them.
Ray, how does Paul not know this question's coming from about 6 months ago? He needs to be prepared. I know you say the way it was presented, he really did not answer it well, particularly when Janet pressed him on, would you just let it become law or would you sign it? And he had to expect that question. That's what a governor can or can't do. He really did not do a good job responding to that. He could have been very clear saying, you know what? I would sign the law or I'd let it become law without me signing it, which, by the way, is not a big deal. It's okay for him to say that, but he looked like he was ducking the issue, and that's not going to help him because this is the issue that's galvanizing women in the state of Maine. And if it goes down, this is the reason why it's going to go down. So he should be better prepared than that. And I don't think they were unfair to ask it. I think his comments about the baby's breath was I don't know what he meant by that. I'm not sure you did. I just thought he handled it badly.
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree with my dear redheaded friend. Look, Paul gave him the answer. He said, I will not change Maine law. This is a law that happened in 1993. And then he also went further and said, in my 8 years as governor, I never proposed to change. I know that for a fact because I am pro-life. I think he's wrong. I think Janet Mills is wrong. Hell, I think everybody is wrong who is pro-abortion. But look, he didn't try to change the law. He gave him that answer, but it wasn't good enough. So then they started proposing hypotheticals, and they did it to give Janet Mills a moment so that the people who do support abortion could say, way to go, Janet Mills. The fact of the matter is he said he would veto a bill that came before him. Then that wasn't good enough. So then he said, I won't sign it. So then Mills jumped in and said, well, will you let it become law without your signature? It was a farce and a sham setup. It reminded me of Chris Wallace and Donald Trump when he asked him about the Proud Boys, and Trump said, of course, I denounced them. And then Joe Biden got in, and then Chris Wallace jumped in. It was just a scam setup because Paul gave them the answer. No, I will not change Maine law. And no, I had 8 years as governor, and I never tried to.
But he never had Roe v. Wade being overturned. And I think that's the difference. And right, by the way, I just want to say, nobody I know is pro-abortion. Nobody believes abortion is a good idea. They're pro-choice. That's the difference between your perspective and my perspective.
Ken, I respectfully disagree. 60 million abortions prove you wrong.
Well, Janet Mills sidestepped a question about what Republicans argue are inappropriate lessons designed for kindergarten students on the subject of gender identity. If you watch TV at all, you couldn't have missed the ads that have been running for much of this year. Ray, shouldn't the governor be hitting this head on instead of deflecting?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it went up on the state's website. They paid for that video to be made. They said they didn't properly vet it. That's a scam and a sham, too. They paid to have this video made. It was on the DOE website as a resource for kindergarten teachers. This is really no different. I was out at Bonnie Eagle on Monday night, Tuesday night, whatever it was, at the school board meeting. And I sat there. The book they were discussing has clear pornography. I read the book. They couldn't even say that it was pornography. The cartoons that were in there of adults engaged in sexual activity. I don't know why the schools are so focused on sexual activity. It used to be health class where we taught reproduction. Now it's about how you go about sexual gratification. I don't know what the schools are doing.
But in terms of what Janet Mills has done here, doesn't she need to address this and say, if it was a bad idea, here's what we did and here's what we're going to do differently? And as yet, that really hasn't happened.
And no one's forced her to do it. Governor Mills should have owned that issue. This happened under her watch. She is the head of the state government that oversees the Department of Education. This was on the DOE website. Governor Mills owns this issue. Apparently, no one's going to make her own it, but she owns this issue. And the question should be asked, why would you agree to tell a 5-year-old doctor may have made a mistake about who you are?
Ken, what do you make of her sidestepping this question?
Well, I agree with Ray that she has to handle it head on. I don't agree with him that there's hundreds of videos, Ray. Did you really think that she was going to watch every video just because she authorized the money to be spent on it? That's what she should say is, look, we authorized the money. We think videos on DOE is a good idea. I didn't watch every video. Once I saw the video and it was called to my attention, I don't agree with it. It's an inappropriate thing for kindergarten children to be taught. I want it removed. It's inappropriate, and I think it's good to have inspect these in greater detail before they go on the website. And she did say, by the way, I didn't see the video. I wasn't aware of the video, and immediately I see it's inappropriate. She has to be forceful about coming out and confronting it and saying it's wrong. It's a mistake. It was on my watch. It won't happen again. But I don't blame her for the video. And you know she didn't watch that video. None of us who watched that video would have let that video go on the website except evidently the DOE.
Well, Ken, with all due respect, we have 13,000 state employees and a $9 billion 2-year budget. Maybe the governor wouldn't have watched it, but somebody had to have watched it and said it was okay. Someone should have raised a red flag, but look, the department is heading down this path, and it's happening at school level and it's happening at the department level. I'm not saying Janet Mills personally watched it, but we pay all these people. Somebody had to have watched it. We just don't put videos on the DOE website, do we?
And I agree. The buck stops with her. That's true.
Yeah.
Let's move on back to what was happening on Tuesday night. Long shot independent candidate Sam Huntler got his first significant exposure through this debate. Is there any chance he becomes a factor on Election Day? And Ken, if so, who would benefit, Janet Mills or Paul LePage?
Yeah, I don't think so. Seems like a nice, intelligent guy. And I appreciate him saying, well, I don't know the answer to that, but, I would be open to finding that out. I know that looks really honest, but also I think most people want someone to know the answers, not I'll get back to you on that. So I don't think he's going to have any impact whatsoever. I think the lines are drawn between Paul and Janet. I think people are going to vote for one or the other. I don't see a lot of people voting for neither one of them. I think if you love Paul, you vote for him. If you love her like Janet, you vote for her. I don't think he helps or hurts anybody. I think he's a non-entity.
Yeah, if Sam's watching this, I mean no personal disrespect, but politically he had no business being on the stage. He did not offer anything. It's like he decided to run for governor and they didn't study the issues. So I'm disappointed, actually, in hindsight, that he's on the stage. I think he has no political impact whatsoever.
We saw this week the first numbers from the Secretary of State's office showing the Democrats are outpacing Republicans 5-1 in early absentee ballot requests. Democrats typically do more early or absentee voting. So, Ray, what, if anything, do you read into this trend?
I really don't think much. Republicans nationwide appear to be skeptical of the system, mail-in voting. I'm personally not. I have voted absentee in the past. I think Maine itself has an excellent way that we do elections. We use paper ballots. I trust the system, and I accepted the election results. But a lot of Republicans nationwide don't trust mail-in balloting. I don't think it means anything.
Ken, what do you think?
I tend to agree partially with the race. Obviously, and you said it, Pat, Democrats tend to vote by mail-in ballots far more than Republicans. This is not an unusual trend. However, it does show some enthusiasm by the Democrats, which we know is always an issue with a party in power in mid-year elections. I think we've already said this. I think that the Democrats seem more galvanized about getting out the vote. I think they're doing that. I think that is going to help protect them from what would have been a red wave. I think the Republicans will still take the House over. I think the Senate will still be in Democratic control. And I think that's largely because of Roe v. Wade.
You talking state or federal?
I'm talking about federal and state. I think the state turnout will be huge as well.
NOAA this week held a hearing in Portland on regulations designed to protect endangered right whales. But these rules pose a threat to Maine's lobster industry as well. And while the rulemaking process has been condemned by all of Maine's top elected officials, Republicans are trying to make some hay with this and pin the problem on Governor Mills and Representative Jared Golden for their support of so-called radical environmentalists. Ken, is this going to stick to the incumbents?
I don't really think so. I think all of our representatives and our governor has said the right things, protecting the lobster industry, pointing out that the rulemaking was bad, that it was a premature decision to call the lobster industry, making it a red flag now. I think they're doing what they can. I understand the tendency to say that Jared and Janet align themselves with radical environmentalists, but I haven't seen them do that. And I think they're saying and doing the right thing. I think they're protecting the industry. They may be right, they may be wrong, but I think it's a unified front. And I don't think anybody in elected office in Maine gets stuck with blame for this.
Well, if that's the case, that means people aren't paying attention. Attorney General Aaron Fry should be suing on behalf of the people of Maine, suing NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, in the same manner the Attorney General of West Virginia sued the EPA. And in that court case, what the court held is that the EPA was acting as an autonomous organization. They weren't acting with specific instructions from the Congress, but more importantly, they were not considering all of the costs, particularly the ancillary costs to their decisions. This has happened here with NOAA. I've spoken to over 200 lobstermen in the last 5 years. Only one has ever even seen a right whale. None have killed a right whale in this century. This is a scam, again, on the people, and they may destroy Maine's brand. You know, people can't tell you where Maine is on the map. They can't even tell you where the region is. But if you say Maine, they say lobster. This is a direct and imminent threat, and if we don't do something about it, through the Attorney General, Aaron Fry. I don't know why he won't do this. They've talked about intervener status. Ken, you're a lawyer. You know about that. They filed about filing amicus briefs. The bottom line is they should be the direct plaintiff, just as the Attorney General was for West Virginia in the EPA case. And that gives us a chance. We got to go down slugging here for going down. We can't go down with words. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Right now, this issue is going to die because our politicians won't stand up for our people.
But politically speaking, Ray, well, let me ask you, do you think Jared Golden and Janet Mills are vulnerable on this as Election Day approaches?
Well, I'm going to quote my very good friend, Bill Diamond. Bill Diamond said in my studio that Aaron Fry and Janet Mills are tied at the hip. And the reason he's not suing is because of her. That's a Bill Diamond quote. That's recorded, by the way.
But I don't think voters are going to see it that way. That may be true, and I don't think it necessarily is. I don't think voters are going to say Janet Mills is the cause or not doing enough. She may be able to do more, but I don't think voters are blaming her for it.
Well, she's not the cause, but clearly she's not doing enough. We have a lobster rally Wednesday the 12th at DeMillo's, October the 12th at noontime, to raise awareness for this issue. The lobstermen and women are under assault. Generational families could lose their livelihood, but more importantly, who they are, their identity, if these rules and regulations stay in place. This is such a farce on our people.
On another subject, OPEC said this past week that it's going to slash oil production by 2 million barrels per day, the biggest cut since the start of the pandemic. Ray, how does this affect politics as we get closer to Election Day?
Well, I think you're already seeing it. On Wednesday, we held a tournament for Travis Mills, and on the way home, people were calling, and I didn't get a chance to call my oil dealer because it was 5:30 by the time I got off the phone. It was $5.99 a gallon for K1 on Wednesday. On Thursday, when I bought it, it was $6.39 a gallon. It went up 40 cents in less than 24 hours. People are saying gas prices are up a quarter. Look, this is a globally traded commodity, and America could be doing more. But currently, the Biden administration, according to oil producers, have put their boot on the neck of producers. We're down 1 million barrels a day. And if we were producing that extra 365 million barrels a year, the global economy would see it. The commodity that is traded on the open markets would see America was sincere, but they don't. We're going to face it. Families are going to be paying $5.50 a gallon for heating oil. Many are saying they're choosing between heating and eating. Again, this is an artificial thing created by the government. We're not running out of oil. It's not like we have to ration it. We're just not being smart. We need better policy.
Ken, is this an October surprise that affects the election?
Well, it certainly does, because, of course, inflation is the primary argument the Republicans have. This is going to absolutely impact inflation. Whether or not Joe Biden should be blamed for this, and we have a history of dealing with Saudi Arabia and OPEC countries and nodding our head toward them while they stab us in the back, it is going to hurt the Democrats. It is going to help the Republicans. I'm glad this didn't happen in July, but it shouldn't, the fact that's happening in October will have an impact. I think minor, but it could have been much worse, but it's certainly going to hurt the Democrats.
Well, let's wrap up, as we always do, with our winners and losers in politics this week. Ken, we'll start with you.
Well, my winner and loser is the same. As we know, tomorrow is Indigenous People Day. And I think it's great that we now recognize the fact that we had Indigenous people in the United States of America that we decimated and we destroyed them and we exterminated them. We put smallpox on blankets. We killed them. We need to be shamed for what we did, and we need to be proud when we're recognizing and acknowledging that what we did was wrong. So both a nod to the Native Americans and a nod to us for recognizing them, and shame on us for what we did to them.
Wow. Wow. I mean, if the governor wanted to really do something, she could have given the tribe sovereignty. That would have been something real. My winners and losers are the people, and here they are. Here's a chance for the people to actually stand up to the federal government and stop the regulations that are going to kill the lobster industry. That makes them winners because the powers are in our hand. The losers are also the people because of our energy policies in this country, not some natural occurrence, artificial policies. They're going to be paying through the nose for gas and for oil, and many are going to wonder whether they can heat or whether they can eat.
All right, we're going to wrap that up now. Thank you both. Ray Richardson, Ken Altshuler, thank you for being with us on Political Brew. We'll see you next time. News Center Maine is back after this.